Hello, friends, and welcome to another Why Did I Lose episode number 12. I am prepared this time. Today, the lesson is misunderstanding the state of the game. And if you aren't clear on what the state of the game is, then you don't know what you need to do. And if you don't do that, then it's very easy to lose. So this time we're looking at Enchantress, played by Weasty, and you told me you dumpstered the lane. You were so confident this was going to be a win, but then it seemed like Timbersaw came back, and the enemy team ended up winning after all. So what happened? Because you were so confident, and that's why the lesson is misunderstanding the state of the game. So in terms of dumpstering your lane, you're absolutely right about that. You sent that message, and I looked at it, and I was like, I'll see how much it went. You did. You are 3k on your carry above their offlaner. You guys got multiple kills in a lane that I don't think you should have. It was Windranger and Timbersaw versus Enchantress and CK. I think it should have gone like decently, but you guys crushed this lane. So good job on that. But then that next step is where the mistake comes in. So you got overconfident with this lead. Let's look at the draft of this game. I think once I explain the premise to you, I think you'll be able to answer what you should have done instead. Let's take a look at the draft. You got a CK. And in terms of carry potential, that's sort of it. Like Puck and Mars are like in this weird state where like sometimes they do really well, other times not so much. They like aren't so strong in late game potential. Let's look at the enemy team. You've got a Sven carry, excellent late game. Well, it varies. In this matchup, it's going to be pretty good. Sven versus CK. You got a Timbersaw. Now, Timbersaw can be hit or miss, but he's good against two main types of heroes. There are low health pool heroes because all his stuff does a decent amount of burst, and he just deletes low health heroes like Enchantress, like Puck. And then, because of the way Whirling Death works, he's very strong against strength heroes like CK, Treant, and Mars. It doesn't really matter that you dumpstered this Timbersaw. As long as this guy gets levels, and as a game goes, he will get levels, his spells will do a decent amount of damage. The items Timbersaw buys helps him to continue doing damage with the mana pool, and it helps him to be more survivable with things like a Hood of Defiance, Lotus Orb, so on and so forth. But as long as he has mana and levels, he will output a decent amount of damage regardless if he has farm or not. And this is a game where he's going to have farm, and especially against your CK, we can pretty much define CK as a solo carry. Because if you look at the way this game played out, you crushed your lane, but then Puck was actually further behind Void. He's had a couple kills since then, so he's caught up a little bit, but still a bit behind Void. Sven doing decently ahead of Mars, and Sven is going to outcarry the CK. You are meant to lose this game, because if you look at it, you know, CK, we just said, solo carry. Who's he got to carry against? A Sven. AoE stun, AoE damage. Perfect matchup against someone like CK. Hey, who else he's got? Timbersaw. Fantastic against CK. Hey, we got more AoE damage. Oh, hey, look at that. Not just Sven. We got an IO boosting him up. It's a really tough game for CK. CK needs to win this game, and your team needs to win this game. In 20 to 30 minutes, you have to put yourself in a position to win. That's why fights like this are really bad for you. Who's your strongest hero? CK. So when we take fights without him, okay, we get one kill. But then this Timbersaw, who wasn't supposed to be having a good time at all, he participates in a kill. You know, all this, we chase a little too hard. You know why? Because we don't actually have that much damage without Chaos Knight. Now they get another kill. Who does this favor? It may look kind of even. It's actually favoring the enemy team. Why? Because they aren't supposed to be able to do this. You have a CK who did end up taking bottom tower, and then he came mid to farm more, but he's the strongest hero in the game right now. Except he went Midas, which I don't know how I feel about. I don't think it was good in the end. Maybe I don't play enough carry, maybe I don't play enough CK, I think this Midas was bad. Because I think you guys need to play really high tempo. I don't think you can afford to lose any fights. And the reason is, being ahead is simply a prerequisite to winning for you in this game. You know, many times we think, okay, the game is even, and let's try to get a bit ahead. That means we will, you know, be in a good spot to win. Our lane is even. If we can do a little bit, like get a little bit ahead, that's good for us. It's not the case when you're supposed to lose the game. When your team, who has the potential to win early, but not any chance at winning late game, kind of like this game, you actually just have to be ahead. Being even is losing. You crushing your lane, I wouldn't have expected you to crush it so hard, but it's actually a requirement. You needed to win some of your lanes to have a chance in this game, because going into the late game, you will simply lose. What does that mean for you in terms of how your team needs to play in itemization? Like, pause here, all you guys watching, think about it, try to answer it for yourself. Answer is, it means you need to play really high tempo. Your play style needs to fit that. You guys need to play around the strongest hero on your team, which is the CK, who brings all the damage right now, because Mars and Puck aren't doing that great this game, and Enchantress and Treant, they don't provide much damage. You have to play around the CK. You have to force objectives. Your itemization needs to reflect that. Let's take a sneak peek at endgame itemization. So you already know the Dragon Lance was a mistake. The Glimmer, also not that useful, I think, because their magic damage, not that fantastic. This guy's pure damage, not to mention he will dispel Glimmer, and the Dragon Lance is a selfish item, doesn't enable your team at all, and we're looking to enable the CK. He's the main one. Puck, Blink, I think is okay. Spirit Vessel, I do think your team would benefit from it, since you've got an Io and a Timbersaw, and frankly, it's pretty good against a Sven as well. Did Puck need to be the one to buy this, though? I think maybe you could have bought it. Maybe Treant or, I don't really like it on Mars. Could have bought it. In the end, I don't hate it on Puck, but maybe he could have built something else, like a Yules, for example, to help control some of these heroes. I think this is a really greedy choice, and I think, for example, this could be the Yules. So he could have still got Spirit Vessel and then built a Yules instead, and I would have liked that a lot more. CK, his items are overall fine, but then I don't like this Hand of Midas. Why? Because we need to win really quickly. This game was about 30 minutes. Hand of Midas is like just paying off at that point. In another game where CK wins in the late game, like against a Drow and there's no Timbersaw, then it's fine to get Midas, because in the late game, you're going to win. You will always delete that Drow. In this case, you don't. And so I think this Hand of Midas is greedy. I think he should have gone for a faster tempo build. At Treant, I think this is kind of okay. Meteor Hammer from Overgrowth, like that's a pretty good combo. You do need some crowd control, but you also got like Arena and Puck ult, so like maybe you don't need this. But I'm also kind of okay with it because it gives you tower damage, so maybe I'm just biased to liking this item. But there are other items he could have gone, which we'll talk in a second about. Then Mars. His main big item is this Blink Dagger, which overlaps with Puck's Blink Dagger. None of these items help this CK. This poor CK. He's trying to hard carry this game. No one's building him a medallion, a Vlad's, drums, any kind of aura, pipe, mech, that kind of stuff. Like, it's all missing. What do we got on the enemy team? We got a mech. This guy built a Deso to enable the Sven in a way. A Lotus Orb, that can be used on Sven, you know? This guy's going to blink Meteor Hammer for the Shackle combo. That's pretty good because Sven just needs time. He just needs the control. And yours is the same. You guys either need to enable CK or help him, like, provide the lockdown for him to do damage. And I'm not seeing that from anyone, really. Like, yeah, we've got the Meteor Hammer, okay. And yeah, we've got some stuff on Puck, but then we've also got a really greedy choice as well. There's just, like, a lack of items that enable CK. And so, like, this kind of stuff, Puck dying here, like, that's no good. And, like, let's look at this. This guy starts farming this hard camp at 12:28. Blah, 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 blah. Took about 10 seconds to kill. Let's go back in time. Look at this Sven here. He's about to start farming this at 12:35. Took about 6 seconds, okay? This Sven is level 9. This CK is level 11. CK is supposed to be way ahead of Sven. But it's not how the heroes work. CK and his items, well, not right now, but, you know, it's supposed to be. He's meant to be a hero killer and farm along the way. Sven is meant to farm to start because he has great cleave and he builds towards it with things like Mask of Madness, and then be a hero killer later. Sven will outfarm CK. It doesn't matter that you had a huge lead. In about 20 to 30 minutes, Sven will surpass CK as long as he is allowed to farm like this. That's why it's so critical to take these objectives right now for you guys and win fights. Look at that, CK's here. Oh, look how easy this is. This guy's dead, that guy's dead. Why? Because this guy is super strong right now. Even with a Midas, even with the uncompleted Echo Saber. The guy is just strong. It's just what the hero does. Now we can take this tower. This is good. You coming over here, set up a kill on Sven. This is great. You guys are invading. You guys are disrupting his farm patterns. I want you to know this is not a guaranteed win. This is simply what must happen to be able to win, because that is what the draft dictates this game. The enemy team will win if you don't do this stuff. This simply gives you the chance to win. And in other games, this, like if it was swapped, if Sven's team is doing what they're doing right now, they're invading, they're getting kills, they're killing like the CK trying to farm, that is probably a guaranteed win for Sven's team because they are meant to win in the late game and they are winning in the early game. So it naturally leads to a win. You guys can only win in the early and somewhat mid game. It's really difficult. You should not win in the late game, is my perspective. And that's why what you're doing right now, it's like good. You need to do it, but like that's the key word. You need to do it. It does not guarantee a victory. It's like furthermore, chasing this guy, another kill, great. Now we're bringing stuff up here. We're taking this tower, great. Unfortunately, we traded mid tower. Not ideal. Treant probably should have been defending that. Someone, trying to invade. This is like all right, except you guys don't actually have the mid wave right here. I think maybe just pushing top would have been better. Take top, take this outpost. You now have full control of this jungle, and then you can shift this way, and that starts to choke out Sven. You're making it difficult for him to farm. Look, this whole area he cannot farm. He is moving down here a little bit, so he's getting some space that way. But like as you guys move over, you're going to start kicking him out. And if he comes up here, he has no tower or outpost. You guys can quickly rotate back up, kill him. If you overextend in this kind of lineup, very problematic. So right now, we've kind of like cooled off, waiting for CK ult. Like, I think that's okay, but you still want to go shove out lanes in this time. Everyone needs to. Bottom lane, someone needs to address, and then rejoin the team. Top lane, like keep that pushed in. Mid lane, handled right now. Currently, no items being built to help CK, right? You very easily could have a medallion right now or drums. And let's take a look. This is 6 armor reduction. Medallion is 5. What's she got? 9 armor because she's under a tower. So she would usually only have 4. Way into the negatives. Io, way into the negatives. Timbersaw, depending how many stacks of reactive armor he has, he now has completed a plate mail. So you are going to bring him down a decent chunk. Still going to have some armor, but that's just the hero. Sven, at 15 armor, if he uses Warcry, he's going to get a huge boost. But maybe you guys get the jump on him. He doesn't use Warcry, you medallion, rift him. He's suddenly quite low. This guy, you're going to bring him down quite to low. You also open up Roshan with a medallion. It's just a really good aggressive item, and it's cheap. Vlad's, this guy's going to have a lot of illusions, a lot of strength stat items, boost him up, give him lifesteal. The drums boost everyone's attack speed. Like, all these sort of early game items, and we're not seeing any of them. Even though this is our window, which is crazy, especially for you guys at lower ranks. 15 minutes, I know. The game looks like all the towers are still up. Everyone is still playing their lanes. But the higher you go, and you are Divine, I don't remember if I said that, but like Divine, this matters. This is your window. 15 minutes is the time to actually win the game. That's why at the higher levels, you'll see stuff like that happen. Hey, look, CK's here. Sick. But who's missing? Uh-oh, you're missing. So this time, you're missing from this fight. Oh, could you have made a huge difference? Maybe, maybe not. But the fact that this fight goes relatively even for the enemy team is not good. It's really bad. Because one, did we accomplish anything? No, we didn't really get any buildings, and it's not like you were taking this tower. If you were taking this tower, maybe it's okay. But instead, we lost Treant. We'll see if we lose any other heroes. They are chasing. But the enemy team is now applying pressure to us, even though we're supposed to be in the lead. And as you can see, like 2K is not that big of a lead. That's why it's a little unfortunate that your mid and off lane did not do better. Like if they had, maybe this game would be more in the bag. But I mean, that's just how Dota goes. Sometimes your other lanes carry you, sometimes they don't. And this was still a winnable game. So now we see they come pressure us. This guy, level 9. Like you said, he's not supposed to be able to... Like, how did he recover? He's 4 levels below the CK. He's still a threat to the CK, just by the very nature of his spells. And this guy was smart. He bought the armor first. That helps him to survive, because you guys don't have that much magic burst. So let's watch this fight here. This is actually exactly what I explained. Or maybe I didn't explain it. But if I didn't explain it, I meant to. What happens when CK goes on Timbersaw? First off, he can burst him with all his spells. In this case, they're on cooldown. That's good. But then you got this guy. He's just going to come in with the AoE stun and the extra damage and hit him. So if CK focuses Timbersaw, Sven and all this other AoE damage go and kill him. And maybe the IO saves Timbersaw, kind of like what we're seeing. If he decides, okay, well, I'll focus Sven then this guy comes and throws in all his spells and everyone else hits him with the AoE damage. That's why it's so hard for this CK. That's why the extra lifesteal to help him sustain through all this damage is great. The extra damage to burst these heroes faster. The extra attack speed active from drums. The negative armor. Like, he needs this stuff to be able to keep up momentum. Look how much damage this guy's taking from someone 4 levels below him. It's just the way Timbersaw works. He died. Look, from half health to a death. This guy misunderstands the matchup, you know. It's not your fault, but it is just like a mistake in the game. This is really bad for you guys, because originally you were in the lead and the lead has now swapped. The second the lead swaps, it heavily, like this looks even, it's not. It heavily favors the enemy team because Sven will just win this game. It's just how it's going to be. And honestly, that's kind of it. I don't really need to go further. You guys do make a couple more like decent plays. Like, there still looks to be life. But the lack of items and any mistakes like this really hurt your chance. The lack of the drums, the Vlads, all that. I'm repeating it a lot. But it's kind of like, it's what I see. I really feel like you need those items to quickly get Roshan, to quickly force these objectives. Does he have Meteor Hammer? He's like closing down on Meteor Hammer. So imagine if in the next like 3 minutes, we'll play a little bit. Imagine in the next 3 minutes, you guys had these kind of items. You were able to take Roshan, force a mid tower, force the high ground. You Meteor Hammer, poke it. This is the opportunity. But losing those kind of fights, giving them more breathing room, giving Sven space to farm, like he's catching up. 1K behind is not a big deal. So, in summary, I think you just misunderstood what needed to happen this game. And so, like, even though, like, you're getting the Dragonlance because you were feeling really confident, like, that alone doesn't lose the game. But in combination with, I assume, every other hero in your team didn't understand what needed to happen this game, what you can do is to say what needs to happen at the start of the game. Tell them, guys, we're going to lose this in the late game. Try to build items to help us win in the early game. Like, we need to get an early tempo going. And if I tell you that, if I tell you you need to play at a fast tempo, I know you're good enough. I know you would have realized, oh, I need to build medallion, drums, stuff like that. But you, and I guess no one else on the team, realized that needed to happen. So I think just by saying that, explaining that, I know you're smart enough to do the rest because you made it to Divine. So that's what this video is about. This applies to every game. You always have to identify, like, are we supposed to win late? Are we supposed to win early? Like, what is our window of opportunity? Well, then our playstyle and items need to reflect that. So I hope that's clear now that I pointed that out for you. And, you know, it needs to happen. Sometimes you just got to lose these kind of games, get told, oh, you were just wrong. You were just playing the wrong game. And then I think it's actually an easy fix once you realize that. So I hope that helped you guys. Let me know if it didn't, of course. Leave some comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.